Here we are for another rock and roll. Turn your heads left and right because it is a special overtime every time edition, although this one's gonna be a little bit on the slow side. It's gonna get out of the way for the child to pass and head towards the sun a little bit. You know, so I gotta go get it on that drill, on that drill, on that drill. And that's what we gotta get doing on that, you know, so yeah. Special snowstorm edition, you know. It's 18th of February. Gotta put the glove because it's on a cold side, and you know that a rock and roller going towards the king might pull the sun. Already a few minutes in my march, I gotta say that it's a bit on the cold side. We gotta get it on that rock and roll as we go, you know, so that's what I gotta get doing. See, all this has to be removed. We're gonna do a little bit of assessment, I gotta say. Salutations, we're gonna go a little bit on that zigzag to check left or right, turn your heads left or right before you cross the streets for prudent safety. See, we're gonna go driving in deep here and there. And we're gonna check, and always gotta be on the prudent side because you see how much snow it is, and lots of snow, record-breaking snow actually. So a lot of people are hard at work, and gotta watch it for the car. So gotta go on the side, you know. It's really something, you know, the machines, and now we gotta be prudent because you can't go through the pedestrian. It's not clear, so you can't go. It's one of those days post-storm, you know. Gotta be looking out for my fellow citizens and driving or pedestrians or whatever you have. So that's what we gotta get doing with that. And gotta turn my head left and right here. Salute those who are gonna do, of course, the removal of the snow operations. They're gonna get those machines, getting on the run on those machines, and they're gonna get that muscle and that brain and all this. See, it's gonna have to be removed, although here has done a good job. My street is not removed yet, you know, so there's no pedestrian. You have to walk on the street where the cars are, although my street is a one-way, so it's more on the safe side, I guess, because it's a one-way. I'm doing a security assessment and a prudent assessment, you know. That's what it is, and here we are. Record-breaking since 1941. Last recorded was 1941. 1941 was the last recorded, of course, what it is. And the last record of the snowstorm like this was back in 1941. So now we got a double record-breaking on the 2 day of storms, and you can see how much snow it is here. So just be prudent when you cross the street, even if there's not so much snow. So caution left and right. Gotta give some LOV salutation to those in the south. In the south. Gotta go around the belt. Let's see where it's more prudent, I guess, if I go by this side. Gonna interject and try to go by here. Put a step. Gonna give some salutations also for the south. For the south, of course, there had been record flooding, and got a record flooding on the snow parallel to our snowstorm. With a record, they also have record flash floods or whatever they have. So it's something which we gotta meditate, you know, as we are on the go there, you know. So something which I gotta pass on that, and with my fellow citizens pass also, because it's kind of like a one-way now, you know, not like before, but this is going to be cleared in the coming days. It's going to be a big operation, so I'm dedicating this one, this marching meditative rock and roll, to those snow removal workers, public workers basically, who are going to do the snow shoveling, the snow removal, as I did myself early this morning. I cleared my area, you know, so my area is good to go. Stairs and above, double stairs and sides and what have you, so I'm good with that. So it's not going to be a long march today. Yesterday clocked in almost 7, you know. I didn't realize that the screen went black out, so I put it in my pocket and it had like a black screen, you know. So that's what it is here. Enough of me. So now I'm just gonna loop on the side, and you can assess by yourself here. Post-storm, second day. Yesterday finished. Yesterday evening kind of finished, and now there's the remnant, and here has been cleared, you know, but many roads are still not that clear, so you have to go in the road where the machines are, where the automobiles are. So once again, grateful, thankful, my rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, got food and coffee, and encourage all to work out, train, exercise. Working out, training, exercising has been, is, and will be my medicine and choice. And you see how deep it's actually, like very steep. It's actually thick in length and in kind of length and width, you know. It's both on the length and on the width, and that's what it is with that. So that's what we gotta go on to do. So you see there the accumulation of the snow, how it is, and I don't mind snow 24/7, you know. Winter, whatever the case may be. Winter, whatever the case may be. I had my own plenty of storms, but you can see how much snow removal there has to be there for the snow operations all this year. They got big piles, which I guess these can stay here because it's not impeding the circulation, but nonetheless, record breaking since 1941 here. Quebec, Montreal, Canada, through North Strong and Free. Gotta add some LOV, salutations to the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, all involved in the production, distribution of food, special marching dance workout dedicated to my anonymous friend who wasn't my friend because of the money. Gotta give some LOV to the farmers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, all involved in that production, the truckers on the road now, and especially those involved in the snow removal operations, which already commenced, I guess. So look at this spot, you can have some fun here, I guess. Children can come slide, although today is on the cold, but nonetheless, I guess you can mount it if you will. Let's check it out a bit. See, you got a little bit of that good snow, you know, so that's a little mountain of snow here. Quebec, Canada, Montreal, you got a little bit of a mountain snow, but I guess you can, I don't know if you can send it up. Maybe we could try, but I got that backpack, you know. I guess so. With a backpack. It's gonna be a little bit cold because I got some food donations. I got 2 breads, so I'm just gonna stay here, and please drive safely, don't rush. Think about the children, the youth, and think about that, the automobiles, the cars, of course. At the end of the day, they're metals on wheels, and you know, the body is more important. So some cars are more expensive than others, but nonetheless, we gotta give on the prudent. Anyways, I found this is really big. It's kind of big. I guess you can go up above it. I kind of feel like going on top above it, but I guess I'm gonna leave that to the children, you know. I'm actually imagining how many seconds would it take me to go up by the side, or where would be best if I could go atop there, and by which side I could go all the way to the top and get it on the go for that. And that's what it is, you know. Here we got plenty of snow, and we got to get it on that drill. And here we got the students, Concordia, you know, we got to get that 2 flags. And now on just those flags, looking at those flags, you know, being that I have Asperger's, FA, high functioning autism, and my special interest, also no obsessive interest, is of course geopolitics. And for yours truly is geopolitics 24/7, 24/7, 24/7, 24/7. And that's what we got to get doing with that. And I would put another flag there to get it on the go. So here it is. It's kind of beautiful how it's done, and kind of looks plateau. Oh, somebody left a little piece of something there. I guess that's gonna be for the squirrels. That's gonna be for the squirrels. Maybe that was a piece of, I'm not sure what that was. Maybe a piece of, was it an apple? Was it an apple? It looked actually like a peach, not a peach, a pear. Where was the pear produced? Because you know now it's winter, so I don't know. I guess it'll be somewhere. I'm not boycotting yet. The tariffs are not in yet, but that's just like I was saying when I see the flags. And of course I do hours and hours and hours a day of geopolitical analysis and theorizing, and I am celebrating my surviving COVID. And even 5 years ago, more than 5 years ago already, in 2019, November, October, I predicted an international conflagration, because that's what I am, you know, an artist, athlete, and independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist due to Asperger's or HFA. That is my special interest, because also known as obsessive interest, although obsessive has a more negative feel, negative connotation. The terminology is more on the negative detrimental side, while using, of course, the appellation special interest and special focus, that I can be myself super focused, super intense, super in it when I'm involved in any of those activities which are my special interests, such as working out, training, exercising, and dancing being my favorite fitness activity. And dancing and fitness. Dancing is my favorite fitness activity, and Dancing is my favorite sport, and rock and roll, that's my holy trinity, and that's how I gotta go now. I got 10 seconds. Gotta look left or right with my big backpack on, and that's all we gotta get doing on that, you know. So it's something which we got 2 seconds, 1 second. Made it just in time, and I gotta give some LOV here. You see, they did a good job, I find here. Here they did a very good job, very good job. Gotta thank the workers, you know, on the Publik, and of course, see here, this is gonna have to be all removed, so it's hell of a work here to be done with brains and muscle. I imagine those machines. Now I'm doing a meditation on how many machines the city of Montreal metropolis Hawk Island has. Questions. Sometimes, see, due to my neurological mental developmental condition, which requires that I always constantly make an effort to build bridges with neurotypicals, because I myself are of a tiny neurodivergent minority, and sometimes I just think about questions and details in that manner. How many machines are not in the private, but part of the Public City Works, the city of Montreal, Ville de Montréal? That's a good question. How many are operating? Of what size? What year of fabrication? What other characteristics they might possess? Small, medium, large. I would classify them smaller, medium, and large. The smallest one, although you can have very small, medium, large, and very large. Maybe there are 5 categories. Also a double check. I said 3 initially, small, medium, large machines, but some are really big. So I believe there could be more. This is more than 3 in actuality. Different sizes of snow removal machines, making a reference to the snow removal machines, of which, of course, now they're on the ground, and one just passed here, probably of a medium size, right, which passed here before, so that I can enjoy now a safer March workout, can rock and roll and meditate before I go do some business at home in this special February 18th today. February 18th, Tuesday. February 18th, Tuesday. That's what it is with that. February 18th, Tuesday. I forgot. I didn't forget. I wasn't sure, because yesterday was 17, and I did a calculation, and it's the 18th, pretty sure. Huh? I'm not gonna say 100%, but I'm gonna say 93%. 93%. That's what I am tactical about in this circumstantial, referential dictums, that it's about that, you know. So, wow, see, it's quite something here. Of course, after the snow removal, I was on the side, and you know, in recent memory, although I have retrograde amnesia and loss of memory, you know, myself, and I remember mostly the past 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years, and then I have like blackouts of memory, really, you know, like it's hard for me to get it on the go. So here we gotta get it on the do, and gotta get it on the do for that, and gotta get it for that. The butchers, the bakers, the breakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, all involved in the production, distribution of food. Gotta say some salutations to the truckers now. Gotta give it for those bus drivers of the public, you know, bus drivers. And I kind of see a big pile there of snow as well. Big pile there of snow as well, kind of mountainous, but some parts are really big, like in the corners or where it has accumulated. So anyways, grateful, thankful, my rent's paid my electricity bill, although financially stressed. My only stress now, kind of my only malaise is basically financial stress. Besides that, you know, I'm pretty joyous. I'm just financially stressed, but I'm always open for business. I was just revising some emails, because I applied for jobs, and had many jobs in the past 7 years, especially during COVID, had a few. But that's the problem with Asperger's. There's still a lot of misunderstandings with HFA, high functioning autism, aka Asperger's, that is still misunderstood, and there's still a lot of stigma, still a lot of discrimination, still a lot of misunderstandings around my neurological mental divergent condition, which makes me, on many aspects, predisposed to certain. We are less able. I am myself less able in social circumstances. We have characteristics, because I'm not going to use the terminology symptoms, because symptom is for an illness, while Asperger's, which I have, is a neurological mental divergent condition, which makes me predisposed to sometimes utilizing too much verbose intellectual academic language, which is not necessary for the condition or for the explanation of a certain point of situational point of view in a differential explanation of whatever problem, be it problematic or being, if it's not necessarily a problem, mathematics or financial or geopolitical. It could be just the general ideas, or in terms of explaining ideas or principles or protocols or of geopolitics, of which myself, I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and echolalia is another symptom, or repetition of words and approaching people too close to comfort in conversation. That's another thing, and constantly have to be aware and work. And for Aspies, it requires a lot of energy, a lot of effort, because we have trouble with the social norms and expectation, and sometimes we don't know when it's our turn to speak or talk or discourse, or it's just can seem rude, offensive, and we can be pretty direct sometimes, or seemingly abrasive. But it's not because we want to harm, or we have empathy, but our empathy, we show it by compassion, by doing things. If we can do things for others, if we can help, whatever, in a physical, financial, even economic, or psychological, sexual manner, I guess. For myself, I guess I'm an individual Aspie, I don't represent the Asperger's Association, but that's what it is. So it's quite a mess here now today, to be honest. But it's a messy, a beautiful mess, because I don't mind it at all. Actually, just the only thing I'm concerned about is the prudence and safety of citizens and the drivers, and especially the youth and children. But besides that, for me, I'm okay, It's mostly for the youth, the children, and the pedestrians and the cars and stuff like that my main concern is at the moment. Here's another biggie snow. The bigger the snow, the bigger the plow. The bigger the snow, the bigger the plow. The bigger the snow, the bigger the plow. So calling all willing and loving to pledge your allegiance. Our family, support a dream. The dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, pledge your allegiance to our family, friends with benefits only. Thanks for understanding. Friends with benefits only. Thanks for understanding. Oh, here's a good job also, I guess. Here's a good job. They cleared the snow a bit. Quite a lot, I guess. More than I was expecting, but it's kind of a good job here. So you can come shop, I guess. Shops are open if you need necessities. I got everything I need. The only thing, I guess, I got coffee, I got whatever have you, but if you can get a little bit of whatever is that you want, you can get a little bit of I don't know what sounds special, but I say today I'm not gonna spend money, although I'm tempted to get another coffee on special, but I don't know if it's on special yet, or if it's still on special. It was half reduced price, so I feel like checking my account, but I know I'm in the red, and I know that I have some cash at home to last me for the month. I have like $25, but nonetheless, I just remembered that I have some garbage I need to drop here, close to my RBC Bank, Royal Bank of Canada. That's what we're gonna go do, and I'm just gonna go all the way because I see if I can get. Yes, no, maybe. Here's a pedestrian, and I'm just gonna go towards the sun and I'm gonna do a verification, see if I have enough money to get, because it was 388, so that's what you gotta get doing with that, so you gotta get doing on the go, so it's, if I have $5, you gotta get it on the go, I mean that I'm gonna get that a cup of coffee. It's not a cup, actually, it's a whole. Okay, I don't have any cash now, but I didn't take from home, so I'm not gonna go. I thought I had $5. $5, but I guess I don't, you know. So I guess I don't. Well, I mean, I have $5. It's just that I don't have it on me. That's what I meant to say. So I have $5, but I don't have it on me, you know. I do have $5, but I don't have it on me, and I don't want to. I know that from the bank account is already in the minus, so I can't withdraw. So that's gonna be something good with that, and that's something which we gotta get on the do, you know. So it's something which we gotta be LOVE, you know, for that. So it's something which I gotta get doing, you know, just because it's on special. It's reduced half price from $7.88 to $3.79. It's half price. Maybe even a little more than half price. Maybe like 55 from my exact calculation. At least half price. That's for sure. It could be like slightly more. So now I'm just gonna direct. I'm going towards the sun. Well, I'm going towards the sunset, you know. So just gonna look at the mountains here, and I guess on the main streets. This is a kind of main street, but you can still see. You can see with your eyes. I gotta check my optometrist. Gotta go to my optometrist next month. So it's for my health, you know. I'm just making appointments by appointments. I've been waiting a family doctor for 3.5 years, you know. It's 3.5 years, and you got a lot of those waiting times. And with Asperger's too, I contacted several institutions, but just few responses here and there. But I guess with certain situations, you know, you gotta get on the doing. But having that, I do not have that much finance or money, or is more, I guess, in a vulnerable situation, in which I am in certain things, you know. I am. But I'm gonna still continue challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border, on the Canadian-US border. You know, I'm still gonna continue challenging since 2018. Since 2018, of course, I've been challenging Donald Trump on the Canadian-US border. Since 2018, March. Well, actually, March when they imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. You know, it's a dragon versus Trump on the Canadian-US border. Since 2018, I have been and will continue to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match. And when he imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel, this Canadian who was born in the USA 3 times, twice in a past life, served in the same United States Army, 156 years apart, 2 different wars, same US Army, 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 you know. That's what it is with that. That's what we gotta get doing, you know. So gotta get on the go, man. No food waste. No food waste. Gotta get that World War III scenario, you know. I've been in a World War III mode since 2019. Since 2019, the World War III scenario. Since 2019, in a World War III scenario. Since 2019, I've been in a World War III scenario since 2019, you know. And I predicted the international conflagration, you know. Androgynous, aspie, artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical analyst, and theorist. Geopolitical, theoretical analyst, and theorist. Who's grateful, you know, got a small room off some temple, my dragon's lair, but better than I used to live. So as I was saying that, I still am challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border, 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 and have been since 2018, and we'll continue to do so, because this Quebec Canadian I was born in the USA 3 times post 76, once as a woman, twice as a man. Served in the same US Army, 156 years apart. Send your best general against me, but after me a new fight, Mr. Donald Trump, androgynous pansexual, philosopher, centrist, Democratic Republican for the North American Union. I don't know about that 51st state, but I do know the CIT, citizen integration theory, the DRT, debt fusion theory, and the democratic fusion theory to be implemented via the fourth dimension, LOVE. Gotta get some of that love amongst the pronunciation, and maybe that's the one. I agree with Trump maybe on one thing only, out of the 100. Please sign as an executive order to raise the minimum wage. Please sign an executive order to rebuild the North American urban inner cities, aka the ghettos. And sign an executive order to mass finance the rehabilitation of the vets and the incarcerated population who've been incarcerated for whatever possession of drugs, or here cannabis is legal. I don't do drugs myself, and we got good cannabis, good weed, and I don't know about the 51st state, but I do believe in the North American Union, our destiny joining Canada. Well, us, we're north, true strong north and free. In the true north, strong and free, but in the south, because you're south of us, we're north of you, so in a way we're gonna unite north and south, in a democratic republican way, public-private partnership way. Dragon army coast to coast, ocean to ocean, for defense, security, service only. For defense, security, service only. For defense, security, service only. For defense, security, service only, strictly only. For defense, security, and service. Those are the only motives, only ways. For defense, security, and service. That's how we're gonna get doing for that, and that's how we gotta get development, and to rebuild the North American urban cities, aka the ghettos, and create the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, via my DRT theory, my brothers and sisters, Canadians. I don't know about the king. The king is absent. The king is absent. The king is absent. The king is absent. And that's how we gotta get doing with that. And we gotta get on the transversal side here. Be double prudent, although there's a stop. Just ensure, that you get that stop properly done, so that you can get a step in front of the other and just cross safely. Although there's a stop, the cars the brakes might malfunction the brakes. The citizen driver might press the accelerator instead of the brakes. So those are all possibilities. There's a snow removal, go. And pray that red, my favorite color. Big rainbow dragon hugs, LOV, rock and roll for the snow removals. North Americans unite, my brothers and sisters, Quebecers, Canadians. I consider y'all family, and my brothers and sisters in the USA also, who come to join us here, all who come to join us, and the Democratic Republic of North America. Well, us or north, and you're south, and true north, strong and free added with that. Land of the free, home of the brave, land of the free, home of the brave, land of the free, home of the brave. We can get that true north, strong and free, and we gotta add something else. LOVE, because we cannot base everything on strength. As much as I do understand that peace through strength, and yes, we have enemies, and the world has changed. The world has changed drastically with wars, rearmament. I know my geopolitics, that is my special interest. I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist who has predicted the international conflagration that's occurring now in a large circumspect, in a main manner, of course, not all the detailed manner, but in a way, of course, which have been saying that I have predicted it based on several factors of analysis, and that's what it is with that. And see my brother cousin there who passed, and my auntie there, that's how I see when I march on these streets, big family coast to coast, and pledge your allegiance, and got to get that defense, coast to coast, Dragon Army only, strictly foremost, defense only, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Here I gotta be mindful, because sometimes the brakes malfunction, and what if the citizen driver presses the accelerator instead of the brake, presses the accelerator instead of the brake? So we gotta be mindful of that, so something which we gotta realize is we are here mounting this bridge right here. This bridge right here was built with brains and muscles, so gotta salute the firefighters, LOV, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, and all those involved in the distribution of food, That's what it is with that. Here we are on the transversal, and gotta be meditating, And civilization is a privilege. Civilization is a privilege, Civilization is a privilege, and we gotta get it on the go and do my sun salutations, my Pope the King. Red and rising, red and setting. Red, red, red. Oh, look at that red, red, red. Red and rising, red and setting. Gotta get it for the XYZ. And red and rising, red and setting, RED. That's what it is. Red and rising, red and setting. And that's what we gotta get doing with that, So it's something which we gotta be doing on the go, So something which we gotta be on that margin, Sometimes we just gotta think new ideas, fresh ideas. I bring to the table along with trillions of kisses. Trillions of kisses, trillions of kisses. Created from the forgotten goddess, from the forgotten goddess, from the forgotten goddess, Thank you, Hydro-Quebec workers of the 20th century who built like got electricity. Electricity, that's what we gotta get doing with that. So all this civilization is a privilege, Civilization is a privilege, All this civilization is a privilege. So that's how we gotta get doing it. Somebody lost the bottle there. Somebody watch the children, don't cross the street. Gotta be careful for the cars and can play safely, As I go on the side, and I don't think it's them there for the bottle, but could have well be, So here we are, on the go. So something which I gotta turn my head and clock it in left or right, and turn it. Now I'm gonna discuss the DRT as I go back to my headquarters, and it's not them because they came from another side, but somebody had dropped a bottle there. Maybe it's from the house, maybe it's from the house, and maybe it's from that house there. So I don't know. I'm just not gonna touch it, of course, but I was just saying like that. So back to what I was saying, the North American Democratic Republic, the dream, which is fundamentally a call for a PPP, public-private partnership. My initiatives, Dragon Army, it's fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership across the collective North American civilizational complex, what I call as a philosopher, the North American civilizational complex, which is an emergent civilizational complex, which is not totally divorced, but is distinct from Western civilization. So it's not divorced, but it's distinct from Western civilization. I'm just curious a little bit. I'm just gonna go down, let's do some sun salutations. Sun salutations like I do. Bury me with Papa Crowley. 93 up in New Jersey, bury me with Papa Crowley. 93 up in New Jersey, a third of me. City of the Pyramids, a third of me up in Montreal. I just want to go see something there. See how deep it is, and see if they clear the snow here. This is, sometimes we come here, right? Sometimes we come here. I just want to see if the road's clear and how clear it is. Oh wow, I was thinking that it was gonna go deep. What's that? Oh, doggy treats. Somebody lost the doggy bag, I think so. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's for the dogs, because some people come with dogs here, so always gotta be meditating here. And I don't want to go a lot, but I'm not gonna go. Usually I go to check the train, but I don't have that much time today, but I'm just gonna turn back. I was just curious and see that big pole. Thank you to those who build it, and that's why we got electricity. That's why we got electricity, and it's a big pole there, so that's why we gotta head back now. A little bit on that going back. I'm glad that it's done here for the people who have pets, for the dogs, who can come without that much difficulty, you know. So that's why it is. Now we're gonna head back. Yeah. Oh yeah. So, and now we'll to discuss the DRT, debt refusion theory, since I've been on the subject. But once again, I want to express my gratitude, grateful, thankful. You know, my rent's paid and electricity bill's paid, and I'm assuming that is for some dogs or pet owners here to play with, or I'm not gonna touch it, but if it's not, it should be recycled. If it's not, it should be recycled anyway. So, as I was saying, as I am challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border, and in the backpack that I'm carrying now, which I'm auctioning for $1 million, to gonna pay my $10,000 debt to the RBC, give half, 50% to an anonymous friend, and buy the bricks for the North American to build on the Canadian-US border where me and Trump were gonna fight. The North American People's Imperial Coliseum, 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 you know. And the Forgotten Goddess Temple, or the Temple of the Goddess of a Million Names, or the Temple of the Goddess of a Million Names. Salutations, LOV, to the train conductors, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, grocery store clerks, those in the daycares who change some diapers. I'm just gonna do some sun salutations. My Publik, the sun now rises and now sets. Every second there's a sunrise and a sunset. Every second there's a sunset and a sunrise, and it's red in rising, red in setting. So rock and roll with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on the XYZ, and that's what we gotta get on the factorials. And here I just gotta get myself to the right side, you know, because other citizens are passing, my fellow family here, Quebecers, Canadians, and my brothers and sisters in the USA and all who come to join us, you know. And that's what I gotta be doing, building the Forgotten Goddess Temple, or the Goddess of a Million Names, the Goddess of a million, a trillion, lots of names, a million, a billion, a trillion names. And the pyramid, scarlet, crimson, red. That's what I will to build, you know. That's what I will to build, and the Forgotten Goddess Temple, which I'm crediting the trillions of kisses which I got credited from the goddess, as I, of course, credit my survival, me surviving COVID to the goddess, credit me surviving COVID to the goddess, to the GODDSS. I credit my surviving COVID to the Forgotten Goddess, GODDSS. As many, of course, credit to whatever you credit yourself, you know. But me, I survived COVID in 2020, March, between February 7th between February 7th and March. I believe it was February 7th, and let's read again, February 7th, and around March 23 or something like that. I'm not sure exactly. It's estimated times. In 2020, right at the onset. So I had survived it. For me, it was like death, pestilence, and disease. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. I know it sounds like a hardcore death rock and roll death trash metal song, you know, or the name of the trash metal album, Death, Pestilence, and Disease on My Enemies. You know, like hardcore rock and roll, that hard death metal though. You know, sounds like that, but that's how I felt. And in many ways I did die. And right there in my underground room off some temple, and nothing that I want to go back to. Nothing that I want to go back to, but here I am, you know, for the DRT, debt refusion theory. DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE. My theory is the only solution, or something very similar to my DRT, which of course is, and will be, of course, to get it on the go, and that's what it is for that. So it's something which we gotta be interjecting, and we gotta be on that supplemental, you know. So we gotta be on the doing, on the go, you know. So we gotta get it on the go for that, yeah. Yeah, so we gotta get doing now, you know. So it's something which we gotta be transmissive of, and we gotta be on the march, you know. So we gotta get it on the rock and roll side for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, the nurses and the daycare workers who change some diapers, and those in the fast food, making some of those cheeseburgers, hamburgers, some pizza, some of that good food, and the train conductors, electricians, the plumbers, you know, teachers who teach some of that math, some of that gymnastics, some of that physical education, some of that grammar today. Gotta give it for them as well, you know, 24/7. Let's get that North American Collective Workers Party. North Americans unite, support the dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, pledge your allegiance, legions. Thou art family. Thou art family. Thou art family. So here we go for the DRT, debt refusion theory. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, is my financial theory. My DRT theory is the only solution, or something very similar. Why do I pronounce myself in such a way? Well, because and due to the fact that today we paid in 2024 on the public debt of Canada $46.5 billion. $46.5 billion. $46.5 billion. $46.5 billion. A billion has 9 zeros. So if you do the calculations, that is the equivalent of 46,000 million just on the public debt. Debt servicing, just the interest, not on the debt original principal, but the interest. So calculate that in 2020, 2021, the number was 20.3 billion. 20.3 billion, 20.3 billion. The number was 20.3 billion. 20.3 billion, 20.3 billion. So 20.3 billion, that means times 2. That's 40.6, right? 40.6. 40.6. 40.6. 20.3 times 2, that's 40.6. So in 3 years, if you notice, the amount of interest we pay on the public debt has more than doubled. So there's no way out of this situation. There's just no way. My DRT theory, standing for D, debt, R, refusion, T theory, or something very, very similar to my DRT theory, is the only solution for where we are now. Due to COVID, yes. The programs which had to be implemented during the financial crisis known as COVID virus, which I had survived, and I had it hardcore in 2020. I really died during 2020 during COVID, but I'm being reborn, you know, every day. Carpe diem, I live it every day with carpe diem, I do it. Hope for tomorrow, you know. When I see people hugging and holding hands and acts of goodness and kindness, that gives me hope, and I have great hope, at least for the North American Collective, because we're going to implement my DRT theory, and of course we're going to be implemented the DRT theory, and we're going to get building those 44 tunnels, and we're going to build those 44 tunnels, we're going to build those 44 tunnels, and we're going to build and construct those 44 tunnels, you know, for the North American civilizational continuity, or for the continuance of the North American civilizational collective. We're going to build those 44 tunnels. 44 tunnels, we're going to build those 44 tunnels. Those 44 tunnels, right? So that's what we're going to get doing. So to build those 44 tunnels, the number after 43 before 45 is 44. It's based on a theoretical paper which I've written and calling all to supporting for the continuity of the North American civilizational collective survival to build 44 tunnels across North America, across the North American civilizational complex. And here I got to turn my head, but there's no way I can't go on the, maybe I can, let me just check. I gotta be careful and cross on the street, see if I can go around, because some roads are not clear, right? So I'm gonna have to be careful here. See, here I can't go because I just can't. This has to be cleared, and it will in the coming days. But on the other side as well, the pedestrians, see, you have to walk on the road, you know. So, but this is one way, so it's safer. That's why I took this one, because it's one way. This one is one way. The other one would have been more dangerous, but just gotta be prudent anyway, because there's so much snow. So again, calling for the building of the 44 tunnels across North America for the continuity of the North American civilizational complex survival in case of a thermonuclear war. Thermonuclear war is based on a theoretical paper of which I've written many related to geopolitics, philosophy, and mostly geopolitics, geopolitical theorizing and geopolitics and theorizing, and mostly related to the study, the analysis of geopolitics and initiatives and protocols and projects, programs such as the aforementioned, which in my original title has a long title. The long title is, of course, something which is academic, scholarly in nature, and the title is Public-Private Partnership Initiative for the construction and the building of tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war. So I started writing about, I think 2017, right when I crossed Canada coast to coast, crossed Canada coast to coast, crossed Canada coast to coast in 2017. So when I crossed Canada in 2017, coast to coast, that event made me come out of being depressed, made me come out of being suicidal, made me come out of being depressed, being suicidal, made me come out of being depressed, being suicidal, crossing Canada coast to coast. That event really changed, transformed my whole life. Crossing Canada coast to coast, crossing Canada coast to coast, crossing Canada coast to coast in 2017. That was an event which completely changed my life, and back with that event I established a strong esprit de corps. A strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians and North Americans and our family, and it's gotta be a little bit patient, you know, here when I cross the street. And I just love a little bit of red. My favorite color is quite nice, and here being one way, of course, I always gotta be prudent, but such a nice red and my favorite color. But so I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, and that event, crossing Canada coast to coast in August 2017, I went to Vancouver, British Columbia, and then in September to Halifax, Nova Scotia. And of course, that event changed my whole life. And before that, a few years before that, I left a moldy place, and very moldy and decrepit, and I was sick and ill, and I moved. I started working out, training, exercising. You know, started working out, started exercising, created my own workout training program system, of course, back in 2019 to go hand in hand with the World War III scenario just before COVID and just before the current geopolitical situation. Just look at that beautiful sky. That's where I went to the sunset, and gotta get on the coast. So anyway, so I created this general war integrated whole body training system, an efficient, effective workout training program system, which has very much a complexity to it, but the exercises are simple. But what it's meant to do, it's meant to increase general overall fitness, and it's meant to be simple, effective, to be done from home or anywhere without requiring an equipment and infrastructure, much infrastructure or equipment. So it can be done inside, indoors, outdoors, basically. Indoors, outdoors. So it's created for several environmental, well, of course, not in a blizzard, you know, although you can, if you want, you could try it out. In a blizzard, in a storm, I lived plenty of storms. I survived plenty of storms, got scars, got trauma, survived, and COVID anyway. So I created it back in 2019. So back to the DRT, debt refusion theory. My DRT, again, to the fact that the interest payments on the public debt of Canada, debt servicing of the public debt of Canada, has more than doubled in 3 years, from 2020, 2021 to 2023, 2024. It went from 20.3 billion to 46.5 billion. You can check with N.A.C.W.P, Governor of Canada, check with N.A.C.W.P, Governor of Canada, check with N.A.C.W.P, Governor of Canada. So that is the imposition which has to be considered and has to be calculated in the matters that I just aforementioned and aforesaid and have said before. So that is what I said, and that is which of course has to be the conclusion. And of course the conclusion is 100% that something similar, my DRT theory, debt refusion theory, D for debt, R for refusion, T for theory, is, or something very similar, is the only solution for the public finances of Canada. Again, to the fact that the debt servicing has doubled. The debt servicing has doubled. The debt servicing has doubled. So that's what it is with that. That's what it is with that. So to the fact that the debt servicing has doubled, just paying the interest on the public debt, that's just what it is now. That's just what it is now. That's just what it is now. So the fact that the debt servicing has doubled, that's just what it is now. The DRT, debt refusion theory, contains monetary integration theory. And again, to prove the point, in fact, that is the only solution or something similar, is the fact that, imagine as a private citizen, if your public debt servicing would have been doubled, of course, that is the only solution. So the fact, if yours truly, let's say a citizen X, citizen Y, citizen Z, so whatever the case may be, myself, I don't have a credit card, I have a debt, it's called a credit line, so I pay a fixed interest. Well, it goes down, it goes with the Bank of Canada rates. It went down 2 weeks ago, thank goddess. But nonetheless, but as a citizen, if the interest one has to pay on the public debt doubles, immediately in concordance, the budget has to be reduced, has to be cut, right? You have to reduce the spending. The spending cannot be maintained at the same levels, right? Let's say in 2020, 2021, you or me or somebody else, citizen X, Y or Z, paid $156 just in interest on the credit cards. And 3 years later, the interest goes from 156 to 333. The interest only goes from 156 to 333. The interest only goes from 156 to 333. So obviously, this how many salaries have doubled. How many salaries have doubled? How many salaries have doubled? How many salaries have doubled? Gotta turn my head left or right here. I don't know, not many. Average salaries increase over the past 5 years has been 4.4. Average salary increase over the past 5 years has been 4.4. 4.4 in the past 5 years has been 4.4, That's the average salary increase, 4.4, so far from double. The GDP, obviously, it's very rare that the GDP of a country doubles. That the GDP doubles, that the GDP doubles very rarely. It's very rare occasion that the GDP doubles, right? So now see how my ASP mind works. I put this train, I know that it's going west, but I interjected with a geopolitical analysis because things such as infrastructure, public transport, public transportation, such as this train and other trains and other public, along with other public financially, not just financial, but of course the Hydro-Quebec electricity plants, they're open for potential sabotage from exterior enemies, of which we have made enemies due to our involvement, not just in a humanitarian manner, but because we got involved militarily, right, and provide armaments. So that has to be understood and kept in mind with that. Anyways, I'm just gonna go get hydrated. So keep in mind again, imagine just if somebody's interest doubles, right, or more than doubles. More than doubles, let's say. More than doubles. Just gonna hydrate a bit. Thank you to the workers. Thank you to the workers who build that. Hey, imagine all that work, brains and muscle to build that. Imagine all that work, brains and muscle to build that underneath. So, public works, that's also open for sabotage. Just like this train is, you know, in terms of meditating of the North American civilizational complex, and you know, it's very rarely. Hey yo, so that's a little bit of French there. It says where the direction is going with a trace. So that's what I wanted to say. That of course I do not agree with Trump on many things. I would have voted Biden, Kamala. Biden if he would have chosen to stay in, or Kamala Harris. You know, but as a Democratic Republican, pro-labor and love, revolutionary centrist, my revolutionary sentiment is North American centric and PPP based and fundamentally relegated and integrated with my Trinity theories, of which the DRT I'm discussing. But nonetheless, it's true. He said, yeah, we have ships, you know, of military forces encircling Canada. We know. So we got to get that Dragon Army defense, coast to coast public private partnership, the DRT, debt refusion theory. Debt refusion theory, again, imagining somebody's interest payments double. When it was just in the news that both Canada and the US, they hit, of course, both Canada and the US, Canada and the US, you know, they hit, of course, interest levels, which we gotta get doing with that, and interest levels, which, of course, have reached a level, of course, unseen since ever, record-breaking interest on the public debt and the private debt now. So both the private citizens and the private individuals, both on the debt on that, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing, you know. So both the public and the private. Please put it in the trash. Please put it in the trash. The garbage, don't put it on the sides. Anyways, so that's what I was saying here, you know. That's what I was saying, you know. Here we gotta go, move slow. Here's actually, here this is not that scene now because of the snow, but is a pedestrian sidewalk. You see, it's mentioned there. My vision is blurred. I really gotta go see an optometrist because I see that little blurred. See, blurred, but they're supposed to let people pass. This is pedestrian. So again, there's no other way but my DRT theory. That's what I said. Because imagine if that somebody's dead, and now I just saw yesterday and the day before, both in Canada and the US, both Canada and US, and that's why I'm calling my DRT to be implemented Canada-US simultaneous implementation. Canada first and foremost, but Canada-US jointly. So both, all the debt, the public and private debt, the public and private debt, all 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 the public and private debt has to be, you know, we have record how much interest we pay, you know. That is just how much interest we pay with that. So gotta get it on the XYZ. So we gotta get that XYZ, and we gotta get it on the goes. We gotta get the interest rates, which of course have been the record-breaking interest on the public debt. If they're happy, I'm happy. They're happy, I'm happy. They're happy, I'm happy. Watch it though. Watch the ice, you know, slip, you know. Just be careful, don't rush. Be careful, gotta get that train, be prudent. Cross the street safely, yo. Things like football, gridiron football, referee football, hey. Rather see you all dancing and joyous and hugging and dancing, you know. Rather see them hugging and dancing and joyous, you know. And accidents. So that's what it is with that, you know. Anyways, that's what it is with the XYZ. So we gotta get it on the go. The fact is that today, we saw a few days ago that the amount of interest has reached record levels. The interest, that's the problem. So just like I said before that, of course, it is the interest. So that is just the fact. I'm gonna go through here. That is just the fact that it cannot be sustained, it cannot be maintained, right? So that is the same with the private. Private citizens now have record-breaking interest, and the problem is again that most salaries have stagnated. In past 5 years, and pretty much for Canada, US is the same. And past 5 years, the only has increased by 4.4%. 4.4% average interest, the salaries which have increased, you know. So anyway, so my DRT theory is the best solution. DRT debt refusion theory. So my DRT theory contains monetary integration theory. What is monetary integration theory? Monetary integration theory is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. So my DRT theory contains monetary integration theory, which is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. In the European Union. So being that, please, that has to go to the garbage. Don't throw that there. It has to be recycled or put in the garbage because we're trying to preserve here. So the DRT theory, debt refusion theory, contains monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is the financial theory which of course was implemented in the European Union. The Europeans, they destroyed their central banks. They destroyed the central banks in the 1990s. Decades ago, they got rid of the Deutsche Mark. They destroyed it. The central bank, they destroyed it. The French destroyed their old franc. The lira got annulled. So they annulled their old currencies and they destroyed their central banks in the European Union. So my DRT theory contains, DRT, debt refusion theory, contains, of course, monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is exactly the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union, So that is important to keep in mind. The DRT theory contains monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is exactly the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. So they, of course, created a common central bank known as the ECB, the European Central Bank. So that is what they did. So my DRT theory, debt refusion theory, contains in it, in my DRT theory, is integrated. That theory, the financial theory, which was implemented in the European Union. See, it's a one-way here. So it's safer, because it's a one-way street. As this has to be all cleared. Usually there's plenty of cars here, but see, they can't park here now. Usually there's many cars, except for there's only one. Usually this is full of cars at this time for sports venues, but you can't park because there's a pedestrian sidewalk there, there's a pedestrian sidewalk there, there's a pedestrian, but it's just for the conditions. So my DRT theory, debt refusion theory, contains monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is, of course, the European Union's financial implementation. They implemented the monetary integration theory in the 90s. So my DRT theory, debt refusion theory, contains that theory in it. So we're going to take all the public-private debt, including my $10,000. So my $10,000, your $10,000, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast to coast, all Canadian public-private debt, we're going to convert it into US dollars. we're gonna convert it into US dollars. So we're gonna convert it into US dollars. So we're gonna convert it into US dollars. All the public and the private debt. So all the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. All that money, we're gonna add it with a US dollar converted. All that money is gonna be with the money in circulation, is gonna be the initial money supply for a new currency, a new central bank. The money is for a new central bank. The money in circulation for a new central bank. Whatever you call it, North American Central Bank, for the creation of the UE. And we're gonna create a new currency based on the value of the US dollar called the UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. UE, UE, UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The UE, the UE, the UE. The U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot UE. The UE, the UE, the UE. The U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange unit, we're gonna put a cap interest rates at 10%, maximum. It cannot be after that more than 10%. It could be 3.33, 6.1, 9.3, 7.70, 1.56, below 10% after that. So that's gonna be the new financial situation, the system. The new financial system. With a new central bank, and we're gonna operate within that 10% of interest. So there's not gonna be more than 10% able to be charged. More than 10% after that. With that money, we're gonna be able to mass finance citizens' fitness, to work out, train, exercise, because it does me good. Mass finance citizens to work out, train, exercise. Mass finance citizens to fitness. Mass finance the building of those 44 tunnels. Build those 44 tunnels inspired by the Cheyenne Mountain Complex and the Montreal Underground Village. So mass finance the building of those 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war. Mass finance tourism, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Mass finance tourism, because it did me lots of good. So mass finance tourism, you know. Mass finance tourism, mass finance tourism, you know. Mass finance tourism, mass finance tourism, mass finance tourism, because it did me good. So across the North American Collectif, integrated tourism, mass finance the building of more hydroelectric dams for power, more hydroelectric dams for power. We're gonna finance the rebuilding of the North American infrastructure. We're gonna finance the rebuilding of the North American infrastructure. We're gonna finance the rebuilding of the North American infrastructure, and we're gonna do lots of good with that. So the DRT, debt refusion to you, that's what we gotta implement. Pledge your allegiance for the creation of the UE, our family. Pledge your allegiance. Our family, pledge your allegiance. Our family, let's rock and roll. Create the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, and cap that interest at 10%, and finance the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, the Dragon Army for security, service, and defense only. 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 Only for security, only for service, and only for defense. So only for security, service, and defense. Oh, dang, I thought this was clear. I'm gonna have to go back. Therefore, security, service, and defense, the North American Integrated Defense Force, aka the Dragon Army, with DGA, the Dancing Goddess Army, the North American Integrated Dance League, the North American Integrated Dance League, the North American Integrated Dance League, and the DGA. For the environment, for pleasure, dancing is my favorite sport, and that's what we're gonna be able to do. Mass finance that, and gonna do lots of good with that. And here I gotta cross on the road here, So, anyways, that's the DRT for you. There's refusion theory. Build tunnels, finance citizens to work out, train, exercise. Build more hydroelectric dams with that money. With my theory, we're gonna be able to do all that. Mass finance the rebuilding of the infrastructure, the North American collective infrastructure, the roads, the bridges, because hey, we need a lot of work in the infrastructure, lots of bridges and roads, and a lot of work. We got a lot of work to do, a lot of work. Forget that I'm androgynous, 50-50, and pansexual. Focus on the DRT. Focus on certain principle. I know I'm eccentric, a weirdo, I have a weird sexuality, and pansexual, love my BDSM switch, no need to spy on me. Secret services of Russia, China, don't traverse the ocean to come. Secret services neither of Russia, neither of... I'm on the island here, Quebec are free. Speaking of Quebec, we're going to switch to that French and look at the beautiful, big, majestic evergreens and how small, tiny I am compared to them, which are the trees. All the trees of Mother Earth are just the trees on the goddess's body, so I'm a nobody. Piece of dust. Gotta get it on the do, so gotta get it on the LOV. See how it goes here? Kinda goes on the... like, you can kind of go by that side, but gotta go it on the gauche. So we're gonna switch to that French now because we're in Quebec. Love la province, agree, grateful, thankful that my rent's paid. Electricity bill's paid, and gotta get on that LOV to get it for the you and the me. For the you, for the me. I'm gonna let that person go on the side. So. Et bienvenue, je suis bien sûr à la marche d'entraînement physique, puis je vous encourage tous à faire l'entraînement physique, puis vous voyez que c'est la tempête, donc vous voyez comment il y a de la neige pas mal partout, ça c'est énorme, comme ça c'est du jamais, mais c'est vraiment rare quand même, mais ça fait du bien, mais faire l'entraînement un peu, comme je discutais tantôt, il y a des places que c'est quand même plus difficile à traverser, mais ici ça a été bien fait, puis il commence le déneigement public, il commence, je pense, aujourd'hui, mais c'est quand même quelque chose que c'est rare. Je pense que, ils ont dit déjà à la radio que c'est un record. C'est 2 jours de tempête, fait que c'est un record d'accumulation. Ça a été l'accumulation de neige. Ok, par ici on peut y aller comme ça. Fait que ça a été accumulation de plus de 78, je pense. 78 cm. Fait que c'est quand même énorme. Comme je disais tantôt, je faisais appel à tous. Je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique, mais je vois que les enfants sont quand même joyeux, jovial. Moi aussi, je suis joyeux, content, mais je vis juste un stress financier en ce moment. J'ai pas d'argent, mais je dois dire de la gratitude. Mon loyer est payé, ma facture d'électricité est payée, puis j'ai du café, puis j'ai du thé, puis je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique. L'entraînement physique, mais j'en fais maintenant dans la neige, mais les enfants, je vois qu'ils aiment ça plus que nous, là. Mais moi aussi, ça me dérange vraiment pas, sérieusement. Faites attention à l'automobile. Puis ici, il y a un chemin pour en faire. Mais il y a quand même du travail à faire. Je pense que je vais chanter une bonne chanson pour les travailleurs publics qui vont faire des actes, qui vont avoir à faire du travail et du travail à faire, bien sûr, du travail pour envoyer tout ça dedans pour que les piétons puissent marcher en sécurité, mais c'est un record, donc ça va être plus difficile. C'est avec des machines, des outils. Ça va prendre du gaz, ça va prendre du muscle. Il va y avoir quelqu'un qui va péter les nerfs, comme on dit des fois, en québécois. Ça va s'énerver un peu, mais faites attention. Le corps, c'est important. Les machines, les outils, on peut les remplacer, mais c'est le corps que faites attention à vous, là. C'est juste... Soyez prudents. Soyez prudents sur la route, là. Parce que, le plus important, c'est le corps. À la fin du jour, c'est le corps qu'on peut... Puis on doit faire attention le plus. Là. En vous encourageant à faire l'entraînement physique, je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique, bien sûr. Puis bien sûr que je vous encourage à soutenir mon rêve, qui est le rêve de votre dragon arc-en-ciel, pour le royaume de la déesse du dragon qui danse, pour le collectif de la civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord, pour le collectif de la civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord, pour le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Donc les Québécois, Québécoises, Canadiens ont fait partie, puis là, je viens de parler de la TRD, théorie de la fusion de la dette tantôt. Fait que dans cette 18 février, le mardi 18 février, mardi le 18. Hier, j'ai fait une grosse marche d'à peu près 7, quasiment 7 heures. Aujourd'hui, ça va être une plus petite quand même, mais ça a fait quand même des bonnes choses. Tu sais. Fait que, il y a bien du travail à faire, je vois sur la route. C'est quelque chose que c'est rare, mais ce qu'ils disent, les records ils ont été pour double, pas seulement parce qu'il y a 2 tempêtes. Tu sais, à vrai dire, là, il y a 2 tempêtes, tu sais. Fait qu'à vrai dire, il y a 2 tempêtes. Tu sais, c'est ça qu'il faut retenir, parce que c'est un double, tu sais, c'est pas vraiment pour une tempête, mais c'est pour 2, tu sais. C'est pour 2, mais c'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on fasse ensemble. Il faut qu'on se rajoute, puis qu'on s'entraide, mais le plus qu'on peut, c'est... Là, je dois faire l'entraînement physique, puis... Attention. Okay. Fait qu'il faut être prudent sur la route, là. Il faut être prudent, puis... That's it, that's all. Il faut juste être le prudemment, fait que... Je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique. L'entraînement physique, ça a été vraiment médecine et thérapie le choix. Donc, en vous encourageant à faire de l'entraînement physique, vous pouvez faire attention, les enfants, qu'ils jouent en sécurité de l'autre bord de la rue. Mais ici, c'est à sens unique, donc c'est plus quand même en sécurité. Mais, tu sais, parce que c'est important de savoir que c'est quand même des choses qui n'ont pas... C'est pas, tu sais, c'est pas au quotidien, c'est pas... Ça arrive pas souvent des tempêtes comme ça, mais encore une fois, c'est une double tempête. Tu sais, c'est 2 tempêtes. Pas vraiment une tempête, là. C'est 2 tempêtes, donc c'est des choses qu'il faut vraiment retenir, là, mais pour en savoir plus là-dessus. Mais c'est sûr que ces informations, bon, le total, je veux dire, des centimètres qu'il y a eu, peut-être il y a eu... Ils disent qu'il y en a eu pas mal de centimètres total, là, mais on ne peut pas vraiment savoir exactement partout où ça a été ou comment ça s'est déroulé, là, mais bon, c'est des choses que moi-même je dois faire de compromis de ça. Fait que regardez ces montagnes de neige, puis en vous encourageant à faire l'entraînement physique avec Québécois et Québécoises de votre dragon arc-en-ciel, je vous encourage à prêter allégeance, les gens, vous êtes famille. Prêtez allégeance, les gens, vous êtes famille. Prêtez allégeance, les gens, vous êtes famille. C'est la chanson de votre dragon arc-en-ciel 24/24. Fait que, en vous encourageant à faire l'entraînement physique, ici, faut faire attention quand on marche. Fait que, juste en discutant un peu la TRD, la théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est des choses que il faut que je discute maintenant vu que je suis, mais en vous encourageant, en disant ma gratitude, la gratitude, j'ai payé mon loyer, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité, j'ai du café, j'ai du thé, j'ai de la nourriture, en ayant ces choses-là, puis vous savez que j'ai l'Asperger's, le dragon arc-en-ciel, monsieur, madame, 50-50 androgyne pansexuel qui aime le rouge, qui est philosophe artiste et qui est un analyste théoricien en géopolitique qui a prévu la situation actuelle, puis en 2019, et puis bien sûr, je célèbre, Marc, je peux dire, je célèbre que j'ai survécu la COVID en 2020, en février-mars. En février-mars. Au mois de février, au début, comme entre le 7 février, puis à peu près mi-mars, en ce temps-là, j'étais frappé par la COVID. C'était comme la mort, la pestilence, la maladie. C'était vraiment comme la mort, la pestilence, la maladie. C'était vraiment comme la mort, la pestilence, puis la maladie. Tu sais, puis je pensais que j'allais mourir. Je dis souvent, là, je suis mort de la COVID. Je suis en train de renaître. Il n'y a rien que je veux retourner en arrière, c'est sûr, mais j'ai survécu la COVID déjà 5 ans. Je célèbre, Marc, 5 ans. 5 ans, puis dans ma grotte de dragon arc-en-ciel, je dis souvent, je suis mort là-bas. Il n'y a rien que je veux retourner en arrière. Je veux pour aujourd'hui, carpe diem, puis avec l'espoir pour demain. Puis aujourd'hui, en célébrant ça, je célèbre aussi avec prudence, puis je sais bien que c'est encore, mais je dois célébrer bien sûr aussi, tu sais, le fait qu'il y ait eu ces tempêtes, puis qu'on a une expérience d'une tempête quand même en comprendre qu'on va faire du déneigement quand même pour en faire l'entraînement physique, puis En vous encourageant tous, bien sûr, à être prudents sur la route parce que ça va prendre un couple de jours de l'enlever ça. Puis une chanson de rock'n'roll pour les travailleurs publics qui vont faire le déneigement de Montréal, ma métropole, avec des bras et des muscles. Les machines s'embarquent. J'appelle 3-1. Il faudrait qu'on fasse un numéro pour un bénévolat dans ces cas-là. Comme citoyen, j'aimerais ça donner un coup de main. Mais c'est sûr, quand j'appelle en 3-1, c'est plus... faudrait faire quand même, juste pour du bénévolat dans le temps comme ça. Là. Parce que si j'appelle 3-1, c'est sûr, je vais attendre en ligne, c'est pour plus pour des plaintes ou des services en tant que citoyen. Mais il faudrait avoir un numéro, je pensais au 616 ou 777, quelque chose comme ça, à travers l'Amérique du Nord. À travers l'Amérique du Nord, comme parallèlement à 9-1, pour avoir, vu de ma continuité en tant que philosophe pour l'armée du dragon, là, que je vous fasse appel à tous et toutes à soutenir l'initiative de l'armée du dragon, parallèlement avec la déesse, l'armée de la déesse qui danse, pour avoir un numéro pour, dans ces situations comme ça, pour qu'on aille une place où qu'on appelle, tu sais, où qu'on appelle pour qu'on fasse du bénévolat. Tu sais, c'est quelque chose que je vais bien sûr moi-même me présenter puis faire afficher cette idée, bien sûr. Fait que la TRD maintenant, regardez ça, beau, ok, c'est beau ça. Et c'est vraiment beau ça. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Oh, je rentre dans la neige. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Mais je vous dirais que c'est la seule et unique solution. Pourquoi je dis toujours que c'est la seule et unique solution vis-à-vis des finances publiques? Car est dû au fait qu'on paye aujourd'hui. Ben, l'année passée, en 2024, on a payé. Oh boy, je vais dans la neige ici. On a payé 46,5 milliards. Sur l'intérêt seulement sur la dette publique. 46,5 milliards. 46,5 milliards, là, c'est 1000 millions, c'est 1 milliard, ça. 46 000 millions, ça. Fait qu'en 2020-2021, on a payé 20,3. Fait que 20,3 double, c'est 40,6. Fait qu'en 3 ans, si vous faites des calculs financiers mathématiques, ça veut dire que ça a plus que doublé. Fait que si c'est plus que le double, là, ça veut dire quoi? Si c'est plus que double, ben... c'est sûr qu'on ne peut pas soutenir vis-à-vis que notre produit intérieur brut, l'économie canadienne, n'a pas doublé en puissance. Ça a juste augmenté, même des fois, ça va dans le négatif aussi. Là. Fait que c'est pour ça que je me prononce, puis je dis bien sûr que c'est la seule et unique solution, ou bien quelque chose qui ressemble à ma théorie de la refusion de la dette, qui est la solution, parmi une seule solution qui peut être jumelée avec d'autres, mais fondamentalement, principalement, c'est la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, qu'il faut faire l'implémentation de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Donc la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, ça contient en dedans d'elle la théorie d'intégration citoyenne, la théorie d'intégration citoyenne, la théorie d'intégration, correction monétaire, la théorie d'intégration monétaire. Qu'est-ce que c'est la théorie d'intégration monétaire? La théorie d'intégration monétaire, c'est la théorie que les Européens ont fait de l'implémentation. Fait que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, mon 10 000, ton 10 000, combien que tu as de dette. Mais c'est sûr que ça dépend. Moi, j'ai 10 000 de dette, toi, tu peux en avoir plus. Puis on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, on va convertir dans la devise des États-Unis. Ça, c'est à sens unique, donc c'est plus sécuritaire ici parce que les automobiles, ils peuvent venir juste en avant parce que c'est à sens unique. Donc, c'est plus sécuritaire si je prends cette route-là pour m'en aller chez nous. Donc, on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée de côte à côte. Avec ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, encore une fois, vous pouvez faire le calcul. Là, vous tenez compte que si l'intérêt qu'on paye double, sans que le salaire double, c'est parallèlement aux finances publiques, c'est la même chose. C'est la même chose. C'est vraiment la même chose. C'est le même principe financier mathématique. Les finances, bien sûr, double. Les finances double. L'intérêt double. L'intérêt double. Juste l'intérêt, si ça double, là, comme c'est le cas avec la dette publique, comme c'est le cas avec la dette publique, qu'est-ce qui est arrivé avec la dette publique? C'est l'intérêt a doublé. Fait que bien sûr, dans un parallèle, si le salaire ne double pas, si l'économie ne double pas, C'est exactement, il va falloir couper dans le budget, il va falloir couper quelque chose, il va falloir couper dans le budget quelque part. Là. C'est juste le principe des mathématiques du point de vue financier. Si l'intérêt augmente, sans que le salaire augmente, il va falloir faire une réduction, qu'on va réduire le budget, puis ça a plus que doublé. C'est sûr que oui, à cause de la COVID, les programmes qui ont été faits, l'implémentation, c'est à cause de la COVID. C'est sûr que l'implémentation de la COVID qui ont été faites, bien sûr, c'est ces choses-là, bien sûr, qu'il faut faire en tête. Fait que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est quelque chose de bien sûr qu'il faut faire. Puis la théorie de la refusion de la dette, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire. La théorie d'intégration monétaire que les Européens ont faite. Les Européens ont fait, bien sûr, ils ont fait l'implémentation dans leur économie. Ils ont fait de la création d'une nouvelle monnaie. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique privée, tout cet argent-là, on va faire la conversion dans la devise des États-Unis. Dans la devise des États-Unis. Fait que toute la dette publique privée, incluant mon 10 000, on va ramasser ensemble et on va faire la conversion dans le dollar des États-Unis. Fait que tout cet argent-là, ça va fonder l'argent initial pour une banque centrale. Ça va fonder l'argent initial pour une nouvelle banque centrale. Fait qu'on va faire l'implémentation de préférence pour l'Amérique du Nord, ensemble avec les États-Unis en même temps avec les États-Unis, Canada, États-Unis, Canada, États-Unis, Canada, États-Unis. Fait que tout cet argent-là, on va lancer ensemble, on va faire la création de l'unité d'échange universelle. Unité d'échange universelle. Unité d'échange universelle. On va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10%. Puis avec cet argent-là, on va pouvoir faire bien du bon commun, financer les gens à faire l'entraînement physique, rebâtir de l'infrastructure, du collectif nord-américain, bâtir plus de centrales, financer les gens au tourisme, financer bien des choses, puis construire les 44 tunnels, construire 44 tunnels pour, et dans le cas une guerre thermonucléaire pour faire, bien sûr, cet événement et pour la continuité de la survie du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Donc, on va faire la création d'une nouvelle monnaie, U point unité, point échange, U point universel. L'unité d'échange universel, that's all, dragon arc-en-ciel.